Today, I'm going to be stepping out of my comfort zone with a natural tendency to brew espresso using a brew ratio of a 1:2. So brewing twice as much espresso liquid out as ground coffee I'm dosing in. And then I'm usually brewing this around the 27 to 30 second extraction time. Today, I'm going to try something new. Now, Kenyan coffee is probably my all-time favorite single origin coffee. And this bag of Toby's Estate Kenyan Kamwangi has tasting notes of blackcurrant, blood orange, and muscovado sugar. Now, I was also provided this recipe card, and I use this as a baseline for good coffee. And I dig that a roastery goes to so much care to provide these details. And it was what prompted me to make this video in the first place. Using a dose of 22 grams in. I'm gonna have to upgrade my filter basket there to a yield of 52 grams of espresso out, which is quite large, but so is the dose, at an alarming 18-second brew time. There's no way that coffee can brew that fast. There's only one way to find out. And they've even provided me with different yields as the coffee ages. So I bet this has something to do with the degassing of those beans and then an increased speed of extraction as the coffee ages. But what has all this got to do with lightly roasted coffee, you're asking? Because I don't actually believe this is in fact lightly roasted coffee. It's more around that medium to medium light roasted coffee, medium rare. But the very thought of being able to brew espresso outside of that rigid brew ratio of a 20-40-30 and still brew delicious espresso gets me excited. And lightly roasted coffee definitely requires more attention to how it is brewed, mostly due to the speed of which the coffee extracts is slower. So it is best not to rely on the status quo in brewing any coffee, but especially that of light or medium roasts. So for fun, I will brew this coffee at the end of this video using the standard brew ratio to be my own devil's advocate. So let's now brew some coffee. Oh, it smells delicious. Now, one of the pitfalls of brewing lightly roasted coffee is falling into brewing battery acid. So one of the blanket rules that can be used when brewing lightly roasted coffee is upping your brew temperature. So generally I'm brewing around the 93 to 94.5 when brewing with espresso. That might be 95 when I'm doing filter coffee. So today I've increased my temperature of my brew boiler to 95 degrees Celsius. I've also gone with the Eureka single origin doser, and I had an option between this and the Niche Zero. The Niche Zero tends to focus more on the body of the coffee and doesn't highlight the brightness as much, whereas I've found in all my tests, the Eureka definitely has that balance between brightness, sweetness, body, and it also has clarity. Now, I've got my Eureka first set on 5 because I've usually set it on around a 3, but with this brew ratio, with an 18-second brew time, I really don't know where I'm gonna land in terms of how fast this espresso is gonna come out. So I've turned it up to 5, which is, from my knowledge, pretty much the top range of espresso on the Eureka single dose. 22 grams. $15 grams in 10 seconds. Now 18 seconds should have been the finish, but I'm gonna brew to the yield obviously, and then be able to work back on my seconds. 52 grams in 22 seconds. I'm pretty close there. I don't feel like I have all that much to gain in terms of grind changes. So I'm on 5 right now. I'm probably just gonna turn it back 1/4 of a notch coarser so the coffee can run faster, I guess. Yeah, let's do that. I gotta say, one thing I love about naked filter baskets, other than the fact that you see your extraction the whole time, is when you stop the shot, you almost immediately stop any extra yield coming out. Whereas with spouted shots, there is so much more. There's probably about 2 or 3 grams extra coming out of those spouts that you need to stop the shot earlier just to get the right yield. With naked shots, you're pretty much on the money. This moment you stop brewing, that's your yield. Oh man, it's for like quite a coarse grind. It still comes out quite slow and creamy. It looks fantastic. Yeah, there you go, 30 grams in 15 seconds. We're moving quick. Not quick enough. Yeah, 21 seconds. Man, one more. One more. I didn't feel like we moved enough quite there. Almost on 6 now, which is really coarse, really coarse. There's no way I would ever grind on 6 for a regular espresso. Oh wow, that's fast. But the crema is still like really thick, which is incredible. This is looking good. 17, 18, 19, 52 and a half. I accept that. The look of this espresso, like it's still 22 grams, I get that. Like it's quite a large dose, but I just figured for like such a short, sharp, fast espresso that it was gonna have no time to create such a thick crema like that. I'm gonna jump in and make one now and properly taste it. Let's do that. Probably should get my spoon too. I gotta say that puck is wet and messy. It's not my generally preferred puck to see, but it's all good. As long as the coffee tastes good, then everything else can look unorthodox. I am excited for this shot. I am excited. It's like a whole new experience. Woo! Just make it rain. Wow. I'm gonna overshot this glass possibly. Boom, that's 52 grams in 18 seconds. Yeah, I do worry actually, I'm looking at it like, I do worry about the flow rate on the, like in general, because I can see the espresso machine's temperature has actually dipped down quite a bit, which means it's emptying that brew boiler faster. Wow, look at that. That is hectic. That's an 18-second shot. Now, if you were served this up in a cafe, you wouldn't think twice as to whether it was an 18-second shot. It just looks like a regular espresso. Except that it is quite, like, a lot of volume. It's like a triple espresso almost. The crema has dissipated a little bit faster than normal, I guess, but all right, it's cooling down. Oh, it's definitely not battery acid. Like, the acidity is really pleasant. I honestly expected with a shot that's going to be so fast that the acidity was going to be like right up there. Like an extraction that was quite low, acidic. Is it? What were they? Blood orange, muscovado sugar, black currant. Oh man, that black, there it is. Like through the middle of that last sip there was just like black currants were just juiced into this coffee. It's got a really nice tail end of the acidity is just kind of like lingering there, but it's not, nothing about this espresso shot is unpleasant. Wow. And I've got so much of it. You know, like a 40 gram shot would almost be done now. I've still got like a whole half a shot to drink. That's really incredible. I mean, for a larger yield and a faster shot, there is way more body in this than I expected. I thought it was going to be, like, it's still quite thin texture, but there's a heaviness to the flavor, which I think is, I guess, balanced with the 22 gram dose. I'm going to drink this whole espresso. And 52 grams is like a good volume to be placed in with milk too, like 22 grams in, 52 grams out. Like, it's not going to get washed out with milk. Sometimes that is a pitfall of lightly roasted coffee, is it doesn't quite cut through the milk. So you're then forced to either make double ristrettos, which really isn't opening up the flavor and doing enough for the coffee. Whereas something that's like a little more overdosed, I guess, and for some reason, longer extractions, longer brew ratios, I think this would happily work in a milk coffee, which is impressive. Oh, the caffeine's kicking in now. Oh. Even when stirring, I know we talk about espressos being stratified. That's why we stir it. That's why we try and get it all homogenized. But even through stirring, that last little bit of your espresso just hits you. It's, I don't know, it's just always the sweetest, the most concentrated part of an espresso. That's fantastic. So I guess through that test, it's worked, like even for this medium roasted coffee. That's not particularly light at all. Brewing really fast can get you around the corner and still offer a lot of body, plenty of sweetness, and the acidity wasn't like battery acid. So now I'm going to brew this coffee using a standard brew ratio of a 1:2, and probably going to brew it around that same 27 to 30 second mark. I'll use 22 grams in and I'll brew 44 grams out. So like, no doubt it's going to be more concentrated, but I want to see how it affects the extraction of the coffee and what it tastes like now that I have the experience of brewing a coffee at 18 seconds. What's an extra 10 to 12 seconds extraction going to do to this coffee? That I'm really curious about. Let's do it. For this, now I'm on almost 6 on the Eureka here. I'm gonna turn it back to, say, maybe just before 4, a quarter to 4. Does anyone else ever have, like, or always have, like when you're dosing coffee into a basket, into anywhere, if you're dosing your beans, there's always one bean. There's always one bean that just wants to jump out and bounce along the floor or along the table or disappear under the bench. There's always one bean. I don't know what it is, but it's a rule. We're going for 44 grams out in 31 seconds. Ooh, juicy. Sweet, I'm happy with that. 45 grams in 32 seconds. It's pretty close. Oh man, like the crema on that is way thicker. It's heavy. Ooh. It's interesting, you can even see the consistency between the two espressos. If I was imagining the last one, even though it surprised me that the 18-second shot was still quite a thick crema, this is like something else. Yeah, it's definitely more aromatic. All right, let's try this. Devil's Advocate espresso right here. We tried the 18-second shot on this coffee at a brew ratio of like a 1.1 to 2.3. Now this is a ratio of 1 to 2, and it's a much faster, no, much slower extraction time. Woo! Boom! That hits. Oh. Yeah, I gotta say, that's one of the things that a longer extraction, more volume in the cup does. It tends to open up the flavors of the coffee. Gives you more space in between the flavor notes. I guess it's, whew. Yeah, this is still lingering. Like if the 18-second shot was the fine wine, this is like the ice wine. It's like way more concentrated. Now, you wouldn't use the word complexity on this. It would be muddled with all the flavor. It's just like throwing it all in there onto your taste buds all at once. There's no clarity in this at all. Yeah, and it leaves it an unpleasant taste. Yeah, that's disappointing. Well, not actually. That's a win, really, isn't it? That a really fast shot, and whether or not you use 22 grams, but I'm also aware of turbo shots where you're using 15 grams and brewing just as fast, or even 17 to 18 grams is a really comfortable zone. Obviously for not using so much coffee, but also upping your extraction by lowering your dose and still maintaining the same yield. You'll spend more water through your coffee, which will then get more flavor out of your coffee. That was definitely over extracted. It's just like, it's leaving me with bitter notes now. That's unfortunate. No, that was really interesting. I want to kind of go back to these 18-second shots. I mean, they're much faster and there's more to them. Like 52 grams over 40 grams or even 36 grams if you're using an 18 gram basket. Yeah, 52 grams is good. I like it. Now, I'll be really interested to know your brew ratios that you've tried, what's worked for you, what hasn't. Thanks for watching the end of this video. Leave some comments down in the section below, and we'll see you in the next one.